I love collecting things, and if I get interested in something, and my partner James is an antique dealer, and he has extraordinarily beautiful taste and an eye, and I'm always like grabbing stuff to bring home, and it gets to a point where it's like a great friend of mine has one thing in life that she says all the time. She's like, there is a limit.
Welcome to Talk Shop. I'm Ariel Okin, a New York-based interior designer, writer, and editor, looking to bring a little bit of magic into our homes every day. After years as a writer and editor in the interiors world, I founded my own editorial site, Fenimore Lane, in 2020, and the Talk Shop interview series was born. Each week, I delve into the personal experiences of the top interior designers and tastemakers around the globe. This week, I'm welcoming a designer with over 25 years of experience and a roster of iconic projects and clients. Deemed a master of timeless American style by Vogue, Markham Roberts has earned his reputation as one of the leading decorators of his generation through his highly custom, always charming, and uniquely layered interiors. Born in Indianapolis, Markham graduated from Brown University and moved to New York to work with the great American interior designer Mark Hampton before opening his eponymous firm in 1997. Rather than following trends or simply imprinting his own style onto clients, Markham and the team adeptly realize his vision for each project, interpreting his clients' wishes and synthesizing those with his own erudite take on timeless decorating. His credo is to create beautiful, well-thought-out, comfortable interiors reflective of his clients, and he definitely succeeds. Markham and his work have been featured in countless publications, including Architectural Digest, Elle Decor, House Beautiful, Town & Country, Vogue, The New York Times, along with many more. He was also named to the 8100 and was a 2024 recipient of the ICAA's prestigious Arthur Ross Award for Interior Design, known as the Oscar of the industry. It's an incredible pleasure to welcome Markham to the podcast, and we had such a great conversation, so I can't wait for you to hear it. Markham, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Ariel, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be with you.
I'm so thrilled that we could make this happen. I have been such a huge admirer of yours for so long, and I love your book, so I've been really looking forward to this one.
Thank you.
Well, those who listen to the podcast know we kick off the conversation by asking everyone who comes on, can you describe your style in 3 words or less?
I would like to think that any style that I might have needs more than 3 words to describe, but
valid.
That may not be the case. It may be that it requires only 1 word, but I suppose it's hard to do a word or whatever, but for me, like, there are a couple things that I think about, and it's more that it's my sort of hope that my work comes across that way, I guess. And
yeah.
The first one would be considered, just meaning that it's thought out with regard to, not just the basics of function and comfort and lighting and all the things that we need to know about a room to make it work for somebody, but that it could also be, maybe, meaningful, not just visually appealing, but sort of, reflective of the clients, or it might have a bit of humor and nostalgia, or it could be done to create a specific, feeling or purpose or something, for the clients in a room. So I hope that it comes across as thought out or considered.
Yeah, I love that. That's really beautiful, the way you described considered. I think that's so special, and I think it reflects so much in your work because it is so personal. I think one of the things that always strikes me so much about your books is just the sheer range.
Oh, I like to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, it is just so apparent how deep you go with your clients in terms of really understanding their personalities and who they are. And you go from, a mountain house to a very uptown city apartment, and they're just all so different. And that is so hard to do.
Thank you. That is very nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. So I love that.
Another thing that's super important, another word that I hope it comes across is relaxed, because it's really important to me. And I think even the most formal rooms, shouldn't feel stiff. I had a client once say to me, "This is one of the grandest apartments I'll ever work on." And she's the most lovely and gracious client, hostess woman, but in one of our early meetings about this sort of ballroom that we were doing where she entertains for a lot of reasons. And she said, I don't want it to be comfortable. struck me for a second. I was like, wait, I need to ask about this. And so I asked her, and I said, I was like, what you mean is you want it to feel, formal and grand, and that you don't want people to think that they should kick off their shoes and put their feet up on the table, but you still want it to be comfortable, and everybody should have a place to sit down and drink, or the lighting should be right for every seat or whatever. She's like, yes, you understand, you get it. Mm-hmm. Even the fanciest of rooms, I think, should have comfortable furniture or whatever. To me, that relaxes a room and makes things just not, too stiff.
Yeah, I love that. And to your point, it's like it could be the most elevated, fanciest of spaces, but if you have it, like if the room works for the person, there's a place to put your drink, the seating groupings make sense for conversation, that's relaxing in and of itself, even if the silhouettes of the furniture themselves might not look relaxed.
There's a famous photo by Horst of Consuelo Vanderbilt in her, I think, Southampton house, sitting on a prissy settee in what looks like almost a hoop skirt situation, 18th century dress, and she's all powdered. And that is not what I want to feel like sitting in any room.
Yes.
It's a beautiful room and a beautiful photograph, of course. But anyway, the third thing for me kind of maybe is the most important, and I think of it as being layered. So I hope that my work comes across in a way that maybe the more you look at it, the more you notice details that just aren't readily available visually in the beginning anyway, because you don't want everything in a room to be, screaming at you at the forefront. You want things to sort of unfold.
Right.
And Senga Mortimer, who's a great friend and like mentor to me and, worked with me forever, the, great editor, she said, it's hard to capture in a photograph how your rooms feel. And she said, honey, that's a compliment. She's like, I don't mean that your rooms are ugly. I mean that, the more I sit and focus on things in a room, the more that they become apparent to me.
Yeah.
Not noticing them right away. And she said, I love looking at every detail or things like that. So I hope that comes across in work. I'm sure that's not something that people would see on a photo on Instagram, because I can't see my phone, on a tiny picture. But
that's why I love your books, because they go so into detail in your projects, and they are so layered and also different and so wonderful. And they have that thread going through them of the three words that you just described. So I love that you also explained why the rationale for the three words, because I think that in itself kind of gives us the ethos behind how you and your firm work.
So I'm hoping that I passed the 3-word test.
Yes, you excelled. You have an A++++.
Thank you. I was going for that grade. Thank you.
I love it. Well, for those listening, I know everybody listening to an interior design podcast knows who you are. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are at this point in your career now?
My name's Markham Roberts. I live between New York City and the Hudson Valley, and I've been decorating for a long time. It's really the only job I've ever had, and I didn't know I wanted to be a decorator, but once I was, it became perfectly evident to me, and I really do love it. I'm lucky I get to work on great stuff with people I really, really like. I'm 57 years old, and I've been doing this for a long time. I'm glad I don't have to start today, because I think it would be a daunting task to try to make a name for yourself or try to get noticed. Or, when I started decorating, there weren't that many decorators. Now, everyone and their brother and their brother's doorman and the doorman's wife and everyone is a decorator.
So true.
So I'm in a part of my career where I am lucky. I get to do what I want to do, and I don't feel. I work really hard. I don't feel like, it's a hustle game or to having to just always run on the habit trail wheel and spin and spin and spin. I feel like this has been a particularly nice year for me. I've been in business 25 years. I got a very nice award.
I know, we're going to talk about that. Congratulations, the Arthur Ross Award. That's such a big deal.
So nice to get that. And I just it reminds you, God, I have been working a long time. I've been working hard. I've done a lot. This is good. I feel good about it. So.
Yeah, and so well deserved. And for those listening, we're talking about the ICA Award, which is basically like an Oscar in the interiors world, and so incredibly well deserved and just so exciting. So huge congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a blessing to feel that way about your job. I think particularly for designers who sort of fall into it, I didn't go to school for design either. I went and got my master's in public affairs and was working in education. And I kind of was doing this on the side for friends and quickly realized I was spending more time doing this than my actual job. We almost never lose that sense of feeling lucky that we get to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And it feels like a blessing to really love what you do every day. And you know, this isn't to say that there aren't headaches or mini crises that pop up or what have you, but I mean, to spend 25 years doing something that you absolutely love is just an absolute gift.
It is. My first day of work with Mark Hampton, he sort of took me around. And one of the things he said to me, he said, you know, you will find, if this sticks with you, that we're very lucky to be able to do this. And he said, I don't mean to say anything disparaging about accounting because I don't know anything about it. But Mark said to me at the time, he's like, think of an accountant in a cubicle sitting all day punching numbers. He's like, you know, we get to go out and see this and speak to this person and do that. And, you know, I mean, listen, if accounting is your passion and math and doing that, then statistics and specifics like that, like, great. Then I'm sure you feel that way about that. He was speaking about himself and he had maybe a hint that would be true for me, would come true for me. So,
has art and design always been a part of your life? Like, were you always interested in the arts as a child?
Yeah. As a child, I drew all the time. I mean, I would paint and draw all the time. I don't get to do it so much anymore just because I don't have a studio set for that. So getting all the paints out and then putting them away because I would freak out if the paints were left out when I wasn't using them. That might send me over the edge, twitching. I don't do it enough because I don't have enough time, but I'm always drawing for work, even if it's just with my pencil, and that is always fun and gratifying. When I was little, my mother would take me to the museum at home, and I loved it. I loved all sorts of things like that. The Gardner Museum, my grandmother took me when I was little, and I just was in heaven. Colonial Williamsburg was so cool to me as a little boy, and it was like the governor's palace as much as that cannon that's still stuck in the side of the house, 250 years later or whatever it is.
I remember that from a field trip too.
So much fun. So even movies with really great houses, like that always, piqued my interest growing up. Though I had no idea what I wanted to do and wasn't even thinking about it, but I studied art history and I studied architecture. And so, those certainly helped me, to know 18th century, English artists and to study those paintings and to look at the interiors and to study the colors of them, is as valuable to you as a decorator as knowing, about Wiener Werkstatt things, or whatever. It's all useful information for us and it all informs us in one way.
When did you decide that you wanted to have a career in design? You went to Brown and you studied art. Yep.
I moved to New York and I didn't have a job. I was, trying to think about it and looking for it, and I didn't have a job for a while. And I think my father was getting really tired of that sort of situation, but he was very patient. And I took a job. I helped a friend of his who was a movie producer do some stuff on a couple of things, and I took a job in client services at Sotheby's, which was, 3 days a week, part-time or whatever. But it was super interesting to see how that worked, right? To be there at Sotheby's, to see these exhibitions, to, learn something. I love that. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was kind of, stuck. And one day in the gallery, somebody came up to me and asked me for directions. And I recognized that it was Mark Hampton because,
wow.
I knew Architectural Digest. And of course, the fact that I didn't know what I wanted to do, being a, 22-year-old kid looking at Architectural Digest, that's on me for being so stupid. But when I met him, I said hello because Alexa and I were at school together. And he said to me, he's like, this is the oddest thing. I just got a letter about you from Lisa Sutton, who's this woman who was a lovely, lovely woman from Indianapolis as well. Friend of my grandmother's. He'd done a house for her in Hope Sound. And she, when I moved to New York, or subsequently wrote to him to say you should meet this kid, and I didn't know about it. And before, I'm sure he's like, why would I meet, no, I have no interest in doing that, whatever. But I did meet him by luck, and he said, come to my office next week, and I left with a job.
Wow. So you were predestined. I mean, that's in the stars, I think. I don't think that happens by chance.
It's a super weird coincidence, but it was great.
An incredible story.
Life is about coincidences and about taking advantage of things or whatever. And thank God for this nice woman. And thank God that I wrote a story about this once, I was a polite kid because my parents, beat that into me from a very young age. And if I'd been some sullen little twerp, she would never have written to him, to say you should meet him or whatever. Whether she was fond of my parents and grandparents or not.
Wow. That is such an incredible story.
It was so odd. And I started, I think I was working at Sotheby's, and so I think he assumed that I knew something about furniture, and I think he knew who my grandmother was, and she had sort of English furniture and paintings and things, so I think he knew I knew what I was doing. So I've started out every day going to every antique store in the city, shopping for all the antiques and lighting for every job that was going on in the office. And It was so much fun. I would leave the office with one of those canvas bags and like 20 cases of 20-pack Polaroid film, and I would tape measure and a pen, and I would write on the back of every Polaroid because there were no phones then that took our pictures.
Yes.
So anyway, I would do that, and it was great. And then he started to give me little things to do, and then take on projects and things. But it was a great way to learn, and I just loved him. I loved working for him, and that office was just fantastic. We worked on.
Yeah, I mean, the exposure of everything you must have seen there sets you up. I mean, that's just such an invaluable
it was great
experience that sets you up. And then you start your own firm in 1997, and now you're, almost 30 years, right? That's amazing.
It has been a long time. It was at the end of 97 when I sort of set up is it an LLC? I don't know what it is, whatever, the company entity or whatever. It was really over the next year after that I, started to do things and pick up steam and get my first client or whatever. I didn't leave his office with clients or anything like that. He was like super happy for me to, start out on my own, and it was nice.
I love that. I think that's how it should be. I think people fly the coop, and that's sort of what it needs to be. This industry is sort of like that, and I think having mentors who are supportive of you and proud of you. You also are now a generational firm. I have friends who worked for you who now have gone and started their own things, and that's an amazing thing. To be able to say that, someone started their training ground with you and then started their own business. It touches people's lives in so many different ways, which is really special.
It's nice.
How do you think you've seen your design evolve over the years since you opened your firm?
I suppose, listen, as we get older and as we are not, blind or stuck in a, vacuum where there's no sensory things going on around us, you're looking at things your whole life, you're seeing things, and the more you see, the more you know. I think I said this before or whatever, but I think that it would be hard not to evolve. I don't know how I've evolved, but it would be hard not to evolve. I can recognize that things are different now than they were then, and that I look at different things or maybe have different interests. I don't know how to answer that question because I don't think about it often, but
yeah, it just sort of happens as you're going, I would imagine.
I think it does happen, and we whether we're aware of it or not,
right?
A lot of it's subconscious. Things influence us, and you move in different directions. There are things I know about now that I didn't know about then, and obviously those factor into I didn't know as much about Japanese things like Japanese lacquer and Japanese baskets and things I do now as I did then, and so there are things like that, of course, that are obvious. Overall, generally speaking, I don't know how to say that. I don't know. I hope that work continues to be reflective of clients.
Yeah.
Which shows that I can listen to people, or that I'm interested in helping them get something and not imprint something of mine on them. But maybe sometime you can tell me how I evolved.
Well, I love also that even the photos in your books, which I love and I reference frequently, I love the photo of one of your first projects. It almost has sort of an Oscar de la Renta vibe to it. It was that foyer for your friends. Oh, yes. It's Charlotte Ford. I just had lunch with her today, and she's somebody else I met by chance. Her friend, who was my friend's mother, said, "Oh, Markham is leaving Mark Hampton's office. You should call him." And she was my first client. And that apartment was the first thing that I ever worked on. That's and wild. It's something that anybody would, I'm sure that Peter Marino would be happy if she called him. You know what I mean? It's just a beautiful apartment. Yeah, no, that's an unbelievable apartment. Yeah, it was great. She's so lovely. And you are dead on, Ariel, because that entrance hall, totally influenced by the De Laurentiis, right? So those marble columns that I made to flank that 18th century English table, completely derived from the De Laurentiis entry hall foyer. They have these two porphyry columns. Yeah, you can see, and it's so beautiful. And I studied in Paris for a semester
abroad doing French Renaissance architecture. And so at Fontainebleau, there's a famous, Francis I gallery where he brought Italian artisans to paint, and they had done these like spotty limestone finishes on some of the woodwork. And I thought to myself at the time, like, I'm dying to use this. So you look at that room at Charlotte's, the paneling, which was quite good and was there. It was part of the original Niarchos apartment interior. I painted it in this, faux, sort of very subtle, spotty limestone. And it's so pretty. I don't know if you can see it from the picture as well, but it's so beautiful in person. It's such a subtle, nice detail.
Oh, I do see it on the inset.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, that's stunning.
And that was the painter Chango's first job, I think.
No way.
On his own, yeah.
Wow.
He's the most brilliant painter, and he did those columns for me. He did the porphyry urns on top for me. He did the spotty limestone paneling. I mean, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm always blown away by what I see, on Instagram, some of his work, and I'm like blown away by the talent.
He's incredible.
To that end, are there any specific projects you're particularly proud of?
I am super proud of that apartment. And as I was there today, I looked around and I thought, God, this still looks great. This really looks great. There's a chair that's falling apart because it's silk and it's been 20 years or whatever, which we're going to recover. But there's one room in the apartment which had originally been done by Stéphane Boudin, for Janssen, for Niarchos. And it has stayed. It has sort of silk red velvet on the walls, and it's quite beautiful. And there's no need to, I would say, to mess with that. And the rest of the apartment, we've done everything, and I'm really proud of it. It looks great. But like that, or any of these other, enormous projects or very grand projects or whatever it is, I'm also super happy to help, like a young family with their first serious apartment because of the joy that it brings them or brings me in seeing them get excited and happy about stuff. I just did a big apartment for some young clients here in the city, and it's really fun to introduce them to things and to show them things and to open their eyes to things and to listen to them and then go down a path with them on something that they want. I mean, decorating can be a nice thing if you're not stiff and rigid.
Well, two things jumped out at me. I mean, first, I love that you're still visiting that apartment, even, almost 25 or 30 years later, and having lunch there. And I mean, that's just a testament to the importance of maintaining your relationships and how decorating is a relationship business in that sense. And that's really beautiful. And also going from a place like that to, a young family, is that the one that was just an AD? It was so great.
No, those are clients. Thank you. I love them too. God, they're so much fun. They're a little younger than I am, but they have grown children and they're collectors. They live in Europe for 20 years and still live there. So they're not a young family. They know all sorts of stuff, and we all went crazy looking at things together. And
oh my God, it was so good. That blue Murano chandelier is beyond.
That was a fun project.
But the range of the different aspects of what you work on, I find so fascinating and also so much fun. Do you think that's your favorite thing about working in design?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because, and thank you for giving me the answer to that question, because I would have been stumped and said, duh, I don't know. No, it's true. It's like, I think if you're an actor, if you were asked to do the same role every single time, you'd get bored, right? And I think it's really interesting to work. We get to work on all different things with all different people, and that makes things always somewhat new. I mean,
it's never boring.
It's not boring.
Looking back through your career, have you had a mentor? I'm sure Mark was absolutely one of them.
Yeah.
And if so, how did they help shape your trajectory?
It's definitely Mark. And he was so smart and funny and fun and charming and interesting, and he could also be just terribly difficult. And learning how to navigate him as a person, which you do when you become close with somebody, you learn how to sort of deal with them, right? Like you learn how to navigate your parents, you learn how to navigate friends.
Yeah.
Learning how to navigate that with him and sort of earning his respect is something I am incredibly proud of, always will be. He was so hard on me after being there for about a year, for a period of a year. And I just I had parents who were tough about stuff, but it got to the point where I just didn't understand why he was being so hard on me. And one day Alexa was like, oh, she's like, that just means that he's, he likes you and that he understands that that's just him testing you. So just like, don't worry about it. So I kind of, didn't worry about it or whatever. One day came when he snapped his fingers at me over something. I had been working I installed this entire house in Palm Beach, and he came down on the fourth day, and he wanted to move something in a room and snapped his fingers at me or whatever. And I guess I gave him this look because I was tired, and it was just do not do that. Do not do that. And I saw his face register that I was displeased, and he looked scared. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen him scared before.
Interesting.
And after the meeting, we're in the car, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I snapped my fingers at you. I was like, you know what? It's not a problem. I'm happy to move the chair for you. But like, I'd been down there for 3 days, like just working my ass off, and it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty good. He's like, it's beautiful. He's like, I'm so sorry, whatever. And he never ever did that again to me.
That's a great story. I love that.
Listen, he was so generous, right, with me. He always wanted me to learn things, and he wanted me to sit with him and would teach me things, right? Like if I were going to a friend's wedding in Italy, he would say, why are you coming back so soon? You need to stay 2 extra days, and you're going to go see these things. And you're not coming back unless you've seen these things. If I were in London, he would say, you must go here and you must go here. He wanted me to see things. He wanted me to learn things. He wanted to share his knowledge. And, that's what, if you're lucky enough to have somebody who shows any interest in you, you better lap it up, and you better enjoy it, and you better appreciate it, because it's not given. It's not for granted.
Yeah. And
a friend of ours was getting married at this time, and he said, where are you staying? Because Alexa was going to be there, and other kids our age of our friend group that he knew were going to be there, and they were all staying at this one hotel, and outside of Florence, and I was staying in Florence with another friend of mine at a hotel that was not as expensive and nice or whatever. And Mark, I had just told my father that I was going to fend for myself and whatever, so I wasn't in any position to stay in this nice hotel. Mark came up to me at the end of this party and he said, this is your Christmas present. You're not going to argue. You can't say anything, but you and your friend are going to stay in that hotel. And I don't want to hear the end of it. I want you to see this hotel. I want you to experience the gardens. I want you to experience the food. And that's what you're doing. And I don't want to hear about it, because I would have said no, just out of, I don't know, that's what you do. You don't let somebody,
of course.
Whatever. And it was the best trip I've ever taken, my favorite hotel. And I'll never, ever forget that, ever, as long as I live.
That's an incredible story. I feel like he was meant to sort of be your mentor. I mean, it was like the stars aligned for him to be your mentor.
It was so nice. And Alexa and I always talk about this, how incredibly lucky she was to have him as a father, all the time.
Bet.
And obviously, all our parents drive us crazy in one way or the other, right? Like, so that comes with difficulty. But there just isn't a time when we're together where we don't think about him and how incredible it was, and how incredibly cool it must have been for her. Yes, difficult at times, but to have that experience and that relationship. And then, of course, he died too young. I mean,
I have read his books a couple times, and I keep them in my library at work, and I reference them often. And I just, I feel like that experience of working so closely for such an icon in the industry is just so unparalleled.
He was great. He was just great. And the office was great. I mean, it was a whole bunch of us, and we had a great time. So I was lucky.
I love that. Well, speaking of books, you have written 2 fantastic books, which I love and keep in my library and reference frequently.
Thank you.
I just submitted my manuscript like a week ago, and I'm curious to hear what your writing process is like, and did you learn something new about yourself, or how you design by working on them?
First of all, congratulations. That's great. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
And it's fun, isn't it? I mean, it's like, oh wow, somebody wants me to do a book. This is great.
I keep pinching myself. I can't believe it. It is the coolest thing.
I had lunch with Mark McGowan at Vendôme, and I left that lunch thinking, oh my God, this is so cool. Wow. I mean, wow.
It's so cool.
And, the book or the process of it, for us, this type of book forces us to look closely at a collective body of what we've done, right? Yeah. So again, like I said before, I was like, oh wow, I have done a lot. Oh my God, like I've got. Yeah. The problem for me was, knowing was all the things I had to cut out of the book because there aren't enough pages.
The culling process is so sad. I feel
sad.
like so bad every time we eliminate something.
But you'll have another one, so you can people, whatever. Just hold on. There's a hope for them in the future.
I hope so.
Forgotten photos. But you really look at everything, and depending upon your subject, what you want to write about or whatever, it's your opportunity to say something. So I like to write. I write, articles. I've written for, Veranda, and it's really fun to do, and I enjoy writing in general.
Yeah, I love your writing. Your books, they have your personality injected in them, and so they're fun to read.
Thank you. So I was very happy to write it, and it helped me also understand why I wanted to put a specific picture with another picture in a certain place, and all of that. That is the most fun part of it too, is the visual aspect as well, tying in, and it was so fun. It's a lot of work. You got to go around and photograph everything. If you haven't done the photographs, you spend a lot of time and money going and photographing things or whatever, but it's so worth it in the end. It is so worth it.
It's something that you have forever, and it's part of, design canon, and people save these books and reference them all the time.
It's a lot of work to go out when you do the book and speak and do stuff.
I know that I'm worried about. I'm nervous.
You'll be good. You'll be great. It's just a lot of work, and you have a family, and it takes away a little bit. It's fun, but it's a lot of work.
I know. My husband and I were kind of thinking, we were trying to talk about, because my book comes out in February, so we were like, okay, let's plan, yada yada. And I was thinking I guess I'm gonna have to bring the girls with me if I'm going traveling to all these places. I can't just peace out for the year.
There were long stretches of time where I never saw my mother when I was little. They'll be fine.
Thank you. That makes me feel better.
I think I turned out okay. I don't know.
You did. You turned out wonderful. Thank you.
The second book came out in COVID, and so for me, I didn't have to go anywhere or do anything. And
so nice.
COVID was the one time where remember time just warped and started moving slowly, and I could watch everything in the garden in real time, that spring, come into bloom. But if I do another book, I'm going to wait a little while. It's a lot of work, and I loved my second book. I felt like it was sort of the second child that doesn't get attention or whatever, which is great. I think the second child is always very interesting.
I love that book. I really do. I reference both of them often because the way that you layer different periods, different textiles, it's so fascinating to me, and they're wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that you read them, because I assume that no one reads them, right? That they're decorating books and no one actually reads them.
Over them.
Good for you.
I think people who really love design read them cover to cover.
Okay. I did leave a little test in one of my captions to see if anybody read it, and no one's called me about it yet. So
oh my God, I'm going to go look for it.
It is a caption, so it's not something that people would look at unless they were looking at the picture and wanted to look something up or whatever. But I thought, I'm just going to leave this little thing and see if I ever get anybody to say something.
Hysterical. I'm going to go find it immediately after we hang up, and I'm going to find it and send it to you. It's so good. Well, a little bit about you. I always like to ask people, what do you think your home says about you?
Probably says I'm a hoarder.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
In this industry?
It gets to be just are you kidding me? I've got to get rid of some of this stuff. But I love collecting things. And if I get interested in something, and my partner James is an antique dealer, and he has extraordinarily beautiful taste and an eye. And I'm always grabbing stuff to bring home. And, it gets to a point where it's a great friend of mine has one thing in life that she says all the time. She's like, there is a limit.
It's tricky though, when you love design and you can kind of go down rabbit holes of optwear or whatever it is, and then you're in this sort of hole, and then you start collecting. I mean, it's kind of hard to not. It would be fun to do a storage wars just with designers.
I'm going to save myself the humiliation of that, and I'm not going to sign up for that, because I think that I'm already in trouble. My house probably also says that I'm like a pauper, because we have two old houses. One was James's sort of summer family house, and it's out on the West Coast. We go there in the summer. We're only there a month a year. But for God's sake, the bathrooms need redoing. And I'm a decorator, and I'm pushing clients right and left to do this and do that. And I live, our shower in Port Townsend is like a telephone booth. It's horrible.
But I think we're all kind of cobblers with no shoes.
I
Like,
guess
that's
you're
sort of
right.
what it is. Like, we lived in our house for 5 years before it was, like, really, like, livable.
Yeah, there are large, like, our kitchen is really scary. I'm about to, well, I'm not about to because it's been 17 years, but the plan is to extend it. And I'm like, well, why would I spend money on this if I'm just going to rip it out?
Right. That's true.
17 years later, I could have gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it over that time. But anyway, we are where we are. So I'm a hoarder and a pauper, I guess.
Well, to that end, I mean, what are some of your favorite places to shop for home?
Oh, James's Storage is definitely my favorite place. I don't have to go far at all. No, listen, there are great dealers everywhere, and there are junk shops everywhere, and I like junk shops as much as I like a great dealer.
Me too. So much fun.
It is. It's great. Or the Rhinebeck Antique Fair. Like you can go anywhere and do anything. There are those places. I've never been to what is it called? Brimfield in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I haven't been. I'm dying to go.
Yeah, me too. Let's go. I haven't been to the one in Texas.
I'll go with you.
I would happily go. I mean, it's not far, right? Isn't Massachusetts a state or
it's
two
not.
away?
Yes, it's not that far, and it seems so much fun. I haven't done Round Top either, and I want to go and see.
That's the Texas one, right?
Yeah, there's so much to see, and I feel like I don't travel that much because I have a almost 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, so I'm kind of home a lot. But
that's a lot of work. That really is on top of your full-time job. That's a lot of work.
I'm tired, but
but like on the side of the road, you can see something cool and grab it. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. So I like to shop all over. But James is by far the best and easiest. I mean, I'm pretty lucky.
I love that. That's also just so cute and romantic.
Not when we're fighting over where it goes, right?
Right, exactly. That's so the other half of it.
I'm so lucky because James is so patient and just also indulges me in a lot of ways. And I mean, it's nice in the end, but like he's very agreeable. I'm very, very lucky.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's the best kind of partnership too. Where do you find inspiration? I would imagine all over.
Absolutely everywhere. I mean, you can look at forms in a shell or patterns in a shell or in a piece of lacquer that's something man-made versus natural. You can look at different hues of mosses on a stone. You can look at every museum and every house in the world. You can look at movies. You can listen to music and it can inspire you in different ways. I mean, you just need to look around.
Yeah.
And pay attention. I went on a trip very recently to Sweden and I had always wanted to go. God, it was so beautiful.
I know the palaces. I've never been, and I really want to go to the palaces. They are incredible.
So cool. And even the light is different up north like that. And so
interesting.
The way that it hits things and looking at the planed trees everywhere and what they grow. I mean, it was great. So there are things where you're going to be flooded with inspiration, like a trip like that, which is the whole goal of that.
Yeah. But
you'll find things in very different ways, or it just hits you. Walking on the street, looking at a brick pattern in something, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You should find it everywhere, and if you're not finding it everywhere, you need to open your eyes more. That's my advice to young.
It's like the Grace Coddington. Never close your eyes when you're in the car because you never know what you'll see. I love that. Oh my God, this was so much fun. Well, at the end of our episodes, we always do our Take 10, which are rapid fire questions. They have absolutely nothing to do with design, really. So what is your favorite food?
Pizza, probably.
Me too, honestly. Favorite drink?
Alcoholic or non?
It could be either.
Well, let's just go with alcohol and maybe anything with alcohol except for gin, because I had a real run-in with gin once. But I love an old-fashioned. I love a Manhattan. Somebody gave me something recently called a paper plane, and it was delicious.
Ooh.
But I also love a martini.
I love a martini. A cold, dirty martini is
delicious.
A delightful thing. Yes.
Never met a glass of wine I didn't like. So, there we go.
I love that. Favorite film?
Well, I always love that movie, The Man Who Knew Too Much. The Hitchcock movie with Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day. I think it's so good. And the scene in the Albert Hall is one of my favorite music to cinema pairings that I've ever seen. Where the assassin's gun is moving toward the dignitary.
Yes.
It's so good. It's such a good movie, and it's corny and wonderful. It's like masterfully suspenseful, like Hitchcock. It's beautiful. The scene in the Albert Hall is unbelievable. Jimmy Stewart, Doris Day. I mean, it's great. It's Morocco. It's fantastic. But visually, the most interesting movie is Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, and it's like every frame is an 18th century English painting. And, the scene was done at candlelight, and, the costumes, and it was done in the 70s, right? Like, it's hard not to have the 70s come through in any period piece that you've ever seen done in the 70s. It is so true. It is such a beautiful movie.
I love when we get film recommendations that we haven't gotten before also, because we do little roundups of everyone's favorite films, everyone's favorite, hotels, etc. And it's fun when we get ones that we haven't gotten before, because I feel like people will write in and say, oh, we watched this and I learned something from it. Oh,
good. There's one thing in Barry Lyndon. There's a continuity problem, which is not easily noticeable, but it does exist.
Where is it?
I'm not going to tell you. I want you to watch it.
Okay, we're going to find it. I'm going to look for it. I have homework.
You got some homework, and I have your book. I know that you wanted homework. I love assigning homework to people.
Yes, exactly. Favorite hotel?
Oh, I'm going to say the Villa San Michele, which is where Mark sent me. It's in the hills of Fiesole above Florence, and it is, the food is unreal. The garden, you sit there overlooking the Duomo and the sunset. It is beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Oh, I love that. And also just because of the story behind it, I love it even more.
You know the scene at the end of A Room with a View, the Merchant Ivory movie?
Yes,
where they're in the window? That's filmed there.
Oh, wow. It's so beautiful. That's another beautiful movie.
Yeah. They're so worth another watch, all of them. The Merchant Ivory movies, they're just so good.
I love that. Favorite city?
I really love London. I love New York. All of them. I know that's hard. Let's say New York, because I'm from New York, and New York is just pretty great.
I know, it is pretty great. There's not much like it. Favorite bedding?
I have to confess that I sleep with a fitted sheet, on the mattress, and then like a duvet, and in the winter there's like a fur blanket on the bed or whatever. I'm so not.
That's amazing.
When I was little, I would stay with my grandmother, and her beds were so fussy and like tucked in and
tight,
horrible.
Yeah,
and you had to unpeel like 17 layers to get in them or whatever. I
hate that. It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. It might look pretty, but it's not comfortable. So I'm the last person to ask about linens. Sorry.
That's so funny. Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
I drink coffee with milk, and I will tell you that fresh ginger tea is the most delicious thing in the world with my honey. It's not my honey. It's the honey that my bees give us.
Oh, you have bees upstate?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it is the most delicious honey. They live in fields of clover and honeysuckle, and it is the most delicious honey.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Favorite playlist?
I listen to everything. My favorite band is probably Radiohead. My favorite, operas are Wagner. I love, Nina Simone.
Talk about range, those two things together.
I love country music. I love Dolly Parton. I love, all of it. All of it is great. So anything. I'll send you our playlist too. It's quite good.
Ooh, I would love that. Favorite weekend activity?
Oh, hanging out with the dogs in the garden and James, just not doing anything.
I know. I feel like it's such a luxury, especially for designers, because we're constantly on the go and we're on site or we're traveling or whatever. To be home with zero plans is such a luxury.
It's so nice. We just got chickens, and so I am spending all my time in the chicken house,
fun.
Holding. There's one in particular that some of the hens are a little bit mean to, and she's just kind of on her own. She'll come over to my leg and stand on my foot, and I'll pick her up, and she just lets me hold her, and it is
God, that's so sweet.
It's so much fun. I should have been.
It makes me want to. I always tell my husband my retiree dream is that I want to go move onto a farm with a bunch of animals.
Green acres, right?
I know. He thinks I'm nuts, but I would have 12 dogs and chickens and goats. It's just so nice. It's the way to live. Okay, the last question is always the hardest one, and I don't know. Favorite design book?
Well, I have to say mine, right? No, I don't think
Yes, I was going to say.
Notes on decorating. No, I would say, so look, there's, I have a big library of stuff, right? There's the great Horst book, which has, it has that photo of Consuelo Vanderbilt in it that I spoke about before. Yeah. That's a superb book, right? There's a book that has, I think it's called, is it called New York Trends and Traditions? It's got Bill Blass's apartment in it. It has the Del Rente's apartment in it. It's a really great book. I think it's called New York Trends and Traditions.
Ooh, I don't know if I know that one.
But books that I really, really love, whenever I'm visiting a place, if you go to the Musée de la Chasse in Paris or to the Soane Museum in London, you get a book of that they produce that is on the House Museum or the Palace or wherever you are.
Yeah.
When I was in Paris doing my semester, my roommate was in Helsinki studying, the cello with his professor. And I went to Helsinki to visit. And we left the city and went out to Saarinen, the elders' house in the country, which is called, this is hard to say because it's a Finnish word. It's Hvittrask, Hvitrask, or however you say that or whatever. It is the most beautiful shingled, late 19th century, early 20th century house. And, I pulled out that book the other day because I'm working on a house in the Poconos.
Ooh.
In like a 19th century fishing camp.
Oh my God, that's fun.
And I was like, oh God, I have to look up how those shingles worked and how that roof tile worked, for this job or whatever. So a book like that, whatever it may be, is something that elicits your memory of a place and teaches you more about it, and you hold that with you forever. So whatever it is it's one of those for me, but it could be anything for anybody.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's a really good teaching lesson too. It's sort of like, as you collect a library, to go back and reference those books that you're kind of grabbing along the way in life, because they will come back and help you on projects, and you never know when they'll come back and help you.
It's true.
Oh, that's fun. You're doing something in the Poconos. I'm from Philly. I'm from outside of Philly.
I haven't the house, we haven't broken ground. We're just looking at plans now. I cannot wait to go out there and see it. I cannot wait.
Oh, it's beautiful. The Poconos are beautiful, and that's so much fun. Oh my God, that's a great project.
I'm very excited.
What else are you working on right now? Any new projects you can talk about?
I'm working on a very cool Victorian house with Gill's office.
Fun.
Long Island Sound, kind of near New Haven. It's the most interesting house, and it's just that. It's so much fun to work on it, and I love working with Gill.
So, the two of you together, I can't wait to see that. That'll be amazing.
I'm working with James Sharon and Dick Bories of Bories and Sharon on a beautiful new build shingle style house in Southampton, and they've recently come onto a project of mine in South Carolina outside of Charleston, like an hour outside, on this beautiful river. It's an old property there, huge property, and we've already done a guest house and a sort of big barn, and now we're going to build a main house. The old house that was there had to be torn down because of mold, but it is the most remarkably beautiful property, and I'm excited that they're coming on board to help with that.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
It's nice. It's like, I love getting, this is a part of the world that I'd been to with a friend once because her parents had a house there, but it's not some place that I, necessarily knew. Now I'm spending time there, and I love it. I never knew Nashville until I have 7 clients from Nashville, and I've spent time there for 25 years. It's so great. Montana, I've spent a ton of time in Montana. It's really nice that we get to go and sort of get exposure to a place that we might not otherwise know.
Yeah. Yeah, because you wouldn't otherwise. If you live in New York, when are you flying out to these not random, but, random in relation to New York places, other than, if you are lucky enough to do what we do, we get the opportunity to go to some really amazing and beautiful spots that you just wouldn't go to otherwise. That's so exciting. I can't wait to see them.
I got to get to work, right?
Yeah. Well, this is the last question we ask everyone who comes on. What advice do you have for someone looking to define their own interior style?
Keep your eyes open, obviously, to everything around you, but also don't worry about what other people are doing. Or, if something interests you, study it, figure it out, explore it. If something doesn't interest you, don't. Make your own decisions. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Yes, other people's work influences us, can teach us something new at times or whatever, but, I always get asked, what trends are you following? I don't pay attention to any of that stuff because that would be another full-time job, and I already have 3, right? I don't have time for that.
And you also don't want a house to feel like it's trendy. You want it to feel timeless.
True. Very true. Very true. So, listen to your clients, listen to yourself, and go out and explore. And, it evolves. It's not something that you have, you learn it, right? Again, so maybe this speaks to the question before of how's your style evolved. I know so much more now than I did then, and so my work is reflective of that, as it should be.
Yeah. And it becomes more layered over time the more you learn, too, which is, I love that answer.
So I went back and answered the one that I didn't answer before. This is great. I feel really good.
I hope I get a ribbon.
I hope I get a ribbon.
This happens sometimes where we come full circle on something, and it just one question kind of sparks the idea for the previous one, which I love. This was so much fun. I had so much fun chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Ariel, thank you for having me. And when you come to New York, come and have lunch and you can meet the dogs.
Yes, I would love that.
Okay.
I would love that so much. Where can listeners find more about you and your firm?
I'm on Instagram. I don't do anything else. I have a website, markhamroberts.com. My books tell a lot about me. So Decorating the Way I See It and Notes on Decorating.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, this was a delight. Thank you so much for coming on, Markham. I really appreciate it.
Ariel, thanks for having me.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of Talk Shop. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more thoughtful discussions and amazing guests. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, follow me at Ariel Okin. See you next week.